Welcome back to the Call on Our Shot podcast. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Logan. We're back every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We appreciate you guys for joining us. We had a lot of cool topics. We're just going to kind of ramble off and just talk about some cool current events in sports and whatnot. But first off, how are you doing, Logan?
I'm doing well as always, because you know what? With our new baseball season starting, I get to see Austin 2 times a day sometimes, and this is one of those great occasions. So the more Austin, the better. To give me all the dosages of Austin. But no, it's been really lots of fun. We've been really getting a good response so far in the community for our duo videos, just like this is what we our structure for the MLB, and it's been received very well. So we love that. But how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. A little bit of housewarming. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're doing daily best bets videos for all throughout the NBA playoffs. You asked for more, Austin. You're getting plenty because I'm doing 2 videos basically per day for each of these play-in games, which we have some going up later tonight. We record these on Tuesdays. Obviously, this podcast goes live on Wednesday, so definitely go check those out. But I am doing very good overall. I just have to remind people, if they want to download the podcast, they can download it on. Just go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, go wherever, and just type in "Call on Our Shot." You're going to probably find it there. You can download there. Another way to support the channel. But either way, it's been fun kind of learning more about the MLB. Last year, I didn't follow the MLB as close. I followed Ryan Mountcastle. Obviously, we love Ryan. A pretty decent start to his year so far. So hopefully he keeps continuing that. Orioles, not necessarily the best start for themselves, but that was to be expected. No one expected them to be undefeated so far into the season, but it's fun tracking some MLB. The player props have been doing somewhat well. I say that as Aaron Judge got robbed of a home run probably about 20 minutes ago, and that was our player prop for Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Man, hopefully he can come through for the people in the second. I mean, he's got 2-3 more at bats, so hopefully he treats us well. But it's been fun doing the MLB videos. Good to see you every morning, though, as well.
Well, if Aaron Judge does turn into a bad beat, see, like, the cool thing about, if anybody listening to this, you'll know the answer of what happens to all these things, like, when you're watching it. So enjoy. Hopefully Aaron Judge treated us well. If it turns out to be a bad beat, it's a bad beat. But is it a worse beat? I argue than my dang Red Sox team total. I mean, that's brutal. Here I am at work. Checking the box score. Baseball's not a quick moving sport. It's not a quick moving sport one bit. That 5 innings was the fastest moving 5 innings I've ever seen in my life. I just kept refreshing the box score. It'd be middle of the third, and then it would be end of third, middle of the fourth, I'm like, how are they churning through batters so quick? Like, it was unreal. And then the Red Sox decided, hey, we're gonna hit our team total over outside of the first 5 innings when you specifically picked them. Hilarious. I hope people can laugh at me for that, because truly that's never actually happened to me before, where I'm like, they don't hit their first 5 team total, but they hit their full game team total outside of the first 5. That's not likely.
Yeah, you can't really do anything about that.
But we can laugh it off. That's what we can do. We can laugh
the first 5 team totals. So some people might have just taken the Red Sox team total regular, and they cashed out on that.
They did.
So get the venting out before we do tomorrow's video in the MLB tomorrow morning. Well, technically, I guess this morning, the day you guys are watching it, because that video is already live. So definitely go check that one out. But today, I kind of want to talk about just random things, kind of just learn more about, have people learn more about us, also kind of our different takes. And I feel like we're going to start with the game tonight. There's a big game. Spurs versus Pelicans is the late night game of the NBA. Obviously, we don't want to talk about the Tuesday night games because they're still going on as we're talking right now. But Spurs versus Pelicans, an interesting game. But on the Pelicans side, they're arguably missing one of their best players, Zion Williamson. And I'm curious your take on Zion, because obviously he hasn't played all year. I have my Zion shirt in the closet collecting dust. Not what I bought it for, but I want to wear. I did promise in my Spurs Pelicans game, if the Pelicans do win, I will wear Zion shirt on Friday when they play again. But what's your take on Zion? What do you think of his future?
Who's Zion? I don't know who that is. You're going to have to refresh my memory. It's been so long. But no, in all honesty, you and I loved watching Zion. He was actually one of my more favorite players to ever bet a player prop on, because you just didn't know. He was just a stat collector. He's fun. He's inspiring. And do I like the trajectory of his career? I don't like it one bit, because it's this whole, like, do we play him? Do we shut him down kind of thing? And, like, obviously there was mixed messages. They've shut him down, right? That's like, is that a thing?
I mean, he's not officially, more or less, yes.
Okay. So they shut him down, essentially. your franchise is, top player, top pick and everything. And it's so disappointing too, because arguably I think the Pelicans are building themselves a nice little team around him, right? Like they have to go for it when Zion's in his, still on his rookie deal, right? Like, yeah, so he's not due for mega payday. And more importantly, the landscape of the NBA, all these superstars, they all want to get out of the small markets. They all want to just go team up in the big markets. And I feel bad for the Pelicans because, look, as a random Magic fan, I know exactly how it feels to feel all your good players leave. It's just like, if Zion's never going to become healthy with the Pelicans, he's probably going to go become healthy somewhere else and be the star that he thought he was going to be. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. My heart goes out to the Pelicans.
Yeah, Zion is an interesting case because obviously so much hype coming out of high school and come out of the NBA draft too. I mean, everyone loved him coming out of Duke. And I've obviously watched so many of his highlight films. I knew about, Zion before a lot of people did because I watched all his highlights in high school when he was just dunking on, just bullying little kids. It was rude. And so that's why Zion gained so much hype and we loved him. But now when you look at his kind of career trajectory, there's like good and bad news, good and bad feelings here. Because on the good side, there's rumors of him going to New York. And I would love him in the New York Knicks jersey. That's who I wanted. I doubt it ever happens because New York Knicks fans can't have nice things. But on the other side, I love Zion. Everyone wants to see him out there. The game is better with Zion on the court. There's a reason we love betting this player, perhaps because he's a guy that just would bully ball people and just shoot like 12 for 13 from the field, just dunking, putting in layups. Like, he was just so fun to watch. And he made us a ton of money in his rookie season when we were betting his over in player props. And it's just tough to see him, not out there. And it makes me think, that's why I want to talk about him today, because it makes me think, like, what would this Pelicans team look like with him? They would have, obviously, Brandon Ingram. They obviously have CJ McCollum, who they traded for. Then you got Jackson Hayes playing decently. Obviously, Jonas Valanciunas. Herb Jones has really quietly become good. Devontae Graham, obviously decent. And then Grand Theft Alvarado coming off the bench. I mean, who doesn't like that? I mean, who doesn't? Yeah. I mean, that roster's a fun one. Now, the question, though, where I would think if Zion's healthy is, I have no idea what lineups they would play. Their spacing would be god-awful. They'd be probably one of the worst spaced teams in the league. But with Zion, it doesn't really matter. There are already, as is, not a very good spacing team with Jackson Hayes out there. So Zion can knock down some threes, though. He's got the lefty release. So I don't really know what to do with Zion. I hope he's back fully healthy next year. I don't expect to see him. Even if the Spurs lose or Pelicans lose tonight, obviously he's never going to come back this season. Even if they made a run in the playoffs, I doubt we see him. But it's kind of just sad for the NBA as a whole.
Yeah, no, it's sad. And what would be even more sad is if he were to somehow find his way to the New York Knicks. That would be really sad because that would be the coffin in his career that he didn't deserve. So, yeah, we don't wish that upon anybody. Stay with the Pelicans. They've built you a pretty damn solid team around him. I mean, who needs anything more than Grand Theft Alvarado? Like, come on, stop. Like,
Zoom.
If you don't know Grand Theft Alvarado, go look up some Jose Alvarado, just highlights.
Yeah, he's a complete meme.
You'll thank us later for it because NBA players see him on the court and they just shake their head and laugh. Like that.
After you look at some Grand Theft Alvarado highlights, go check out Zaire Simpson, the guy that was playing on the Thunder for the last couple games. I know no one knows who the heck that is. I mentioned him briefly in the video. He's just a very weird guy. He's like 6 feet tall, but has a pretty good hook shot. Very interesting guy. Definitely go just type it on YouTube, Zaire Simpson highlights, and you'll see what I mean. But speaking of the Knicks, man, what do I do with my team? I have some hope, and I have hope. I think every New York fan just has hope, just because if they don't have hope, they got nothing. And so I really liked what I saw out of Obi Toppin to end the year. That was pretty cool to see. Emmanuel quickly played well. It just made me think, and I would bet some money if there was a way to bet it. I can bet some money Julius Randle's gone this offseason. And oh man, I can't wait for that day. Julius Randle has been traded. I would even bet even more money that we can get. I would pay some money to see Evan Fournier also get the boot. I don't know who do I have to pay to get that? I don't know, but sign me up.
Wait, why is your hypothesis that Randle would be gone? Because they just paid him, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we gave him the bag, and then we realized very quickly, why did we do this? And it was something. I mean, I've been begging for Obi Toppin to finally get some more minutes, just because you never know. The Knicks weren't making the playoffs after like the All-Star break. We stunk, and last year, we turned it on with the All-Star break. We knew we weren't making it. So Julius Randle obviously, played all right this year. Wasn't the worst, wasn't the best in the world. Then obviously he reduced, he played worse than last year. And it's just like those guys in their contract year that play absolutely out of their mind. They get their contract and then they absolutely stink. And we see that time and time again. I figured Julius Randle would be that case, but we saw Obi Toppin finally get minutes. Julius Randle missed last, I don't know, a couple weeks of the season. We saw Obi Toppin coming in, dropping 38, 42 points. Like the man was looking pretty good and actually kind of getting some rhythm. So I just don't see the Knicks seeing Obi Toppin play super well and saying, you know what, let's bring Julius Randle back when they could get something for him in the offseason. I don't really know what that would be. And now I've seen rumors of Russell Westbrook. I don't know what I would do about that. But
well, okay, so you brought up Westbrook. I kind of want to talk about that because he's in the news as was Frank Vogel because he kind of came out and said, Frank Vogel was, I don't know what I did to piss off that guy, like because Frank Vogel was treating him so poorly. He's claiming. I do think he has a little validity to it as far as you can't tell me a talent as good as Russell Westbrook should have played as bad at times as he did. He should have fit onto that team a lot better. And I know we talked about it in weeks past about the Lakers lineups, injuries and everything like that. But you can't tell me that Russell Westbrook isn't still a top talent in the league when utilized correctly.
I think Westbrook's he has better days ahead of him, to be nice. I mean, he quite frankly has to, or he probably won't be. Well, he'll still find a way on a team, but he was bad this year. And I do think Vogel comes into play. I mean, we saw Vogel benching him for some of the end of games. And then they'd ask Westbrook in the post-game press conference, like, why were you benched? And he's like, that ain't my decision. Like, that's not my fault. I was benched kind of thing. Maybe a little bit of his fault not making shots. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see Frank Vogel get fired. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Westbrook on the move this offseason. The problem is, one, what do the Lakers trade for him? Or what can they get for him? And number two is like, who wants Russell Westbrook? Because there are some teams out there, like I'm sure the Orlando Magic would. I don't know what the Magic would. They got already 400 yards, but I'm sure teams like that are in that kind of frame would take him. But it's like I don't know who necessarily. Like I wouldn't mind him on the Knicks. I think it would be fun. It would be fun in Madison Square Garden. Would it make us a better team? Probably not. We'd have probably one of the worst 3-point shooting teams out there with Westbrook, Barrett. Barrett's improving, but not all that great. So it's like, where do I find a fit for Westbrook? Because I've seen him linked to teams like the Hornets. 0 sense. That makes no sense. There's no reason for him to go to a team where he's no longer the primary ball carrier. And that's the only reason why I think he's been linked to the Knicks is because the Knicks really don't have a point guard. We have Quickly, who played obviously pretty well, had a triple-double in like 2 of his final 3 games. But is he the point guard of the future? No one knows. So Westbrook maybe could teach him some things. I don't really know what to do with Westbrook this offseason.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about where he would fit.
Pacers have been rumored, but the Pacers, another one. They got Halliburton. They don't see them wanting another kind of guy. You got Pistons, another bad team, but they got Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes, another team that doesn't really want it. Like
my whole fit for Westbrook it should be a team that's somewhat in contention. That's not like the Pistons that are in like complete rebuild. Like Westbrook's not a type of guy you bring in there. My question is, could he fit in his same exact, area? Could he fit with the Clippers? I don't know. Like, don't they have Reggie, right? Reggie's maybe their primary ball handler. Like,
yeah, it would be tough. It would be tough in my head just because of contract situation with PG and Kawhi, but I don't really know their contract situations either. So.
Well, is Kawhi ever going to step on the floor again? I don't remember who Kawhi Leonard is. Like, hello, where are you? But no, yeah, the Clippers, to me, the Clippers just like, I was kind of just thinking about teams around the league, and I was like, they're in that like still go for it window, but maybe they could utilize, because, Ty Lue's a good coach. So he could utilize him better.
But the Jazz are an interesting kind of example too. I mean, they've kind of gone through this Mike Conley experience. Who knows if, the Jazz get booted first round, which they could. It's the Jazz. I mean, they're playing the Mavs, who are Luka-less at the moment, but we could see Donovan Mitchell request a trade. That's been in the rumors, and after his kind of things with Rudy Gobert, wouldn't surprise me there. I mean, maybe you see the Jazz kind of reload, maybe deal Mike Conley, get him out of there. I think Mike Conley would be a better fit in LA with the Lakers. Maybe Russell Westbrook's a better, kind of floor general for the Jazz. Maybe that's what they're looking for. I think that's an interesting game, kind of, Mike Conley for Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying, one's better than the other, but it's an interesting kind of switching of the guard of two guys, older, both getting paid a lot of money. And I don't know Mike Conley's situation. He could be a free agent. I honestly have no idea though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. Now I kind of want to pivot to the NFL draft because both of our two teams have top 6 picks. You're obviously a Panthers fan, and I'm obviously a Jets fan. And I'm curious, who do you want? I've seen a lot of people in the Panthers, Panther circle. I've seen a lot of rumors, but I want to see who they're going to take. I don't hear who you would like at that position. You want a QB?
Okay, all right. So I think I might be on the minority on this one. I don't really want a quarterback. Now, here's why. Number one, recipe for disaster. Go ahead and put Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis behind that really trash offensive line. See what happens. They're gonna get killed. They're gonna look like deer in headlights. I don't really want that. I want an offensive lineman. Hopefully, we can still get a good offensive lineman there at that high, first round pick that we are. I just want to see them address a franchise piece like that, because to be honest, the NFL has a lot of quarterback shuffling. It's a quarterback carousel. I mean, heck, how many podcast episodes do we talk about just quarterbacks switching teams? So obviously with Sam Darnold, year one of the Sam Darnold experiment, it didn't go great. It had flashes of this is trending in an interesting direction, but then it had flashes of, oh brother, that's the New York Jets turnover Darnold that's waiting to happen. So it's like, give him one last shot with maybe an additional piece of on the offensive line. I think our defense is pretty well addressed, so I don't really see a need to go on that side of the ball. Definitely offense, definitely offensive line. I'd love it.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're getting Kenny Pickett. And you're gonna have to like it. You're gonna have to like it. I'm sorry, because I believe David Temper, isn't he your owner, GM? Which one is he? Temper.
Yeah, owner. Yes.
Yeah, I know he has connections to Pittsburgh, so that's obviously where Kenny Pickett played. Be interesting to see Malik Willis there. That would be fun. We'll see about that. I think both are kind of building kind of blocks.
Yeah,
I don't blame you for liking a lineman, though. I think there are some good linemen, offensive linemen still left on the board at that point. And there's a lot of good defensive linemen. So that should kind of maybe reduce those offensive linemen down the draft board.
Kenny Pickett, am I gonna riot? Am I gonna burn my Panthers jersey if they pick Kenny Pickett? No. Just because, why would you? Like, reactionary, stupid fans burn jerseys, by the way. But I'm really with Kenny Pickett. I liked what I saw at Pittsburgh. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know how that translates well to the NFL. Like, he kind of reminds me of another Panthers high draft pick, and I remember him all too well, Jimmy Clausen. And if you don't know, yeah, exactly. He was good in college. He had his flashes and everything, but no. And then Malik Willis. I want to address Malik Willis because he's ultra talented and
he's getting the Zach Wilson hype.
Yeah, he's definitely got the hype to him. But as somebody that watched a lot of college football, I watched some Malik Willis at Liberty, and there was just some games when I was just sitting there waiting, and I'm like. And in the broadcast booth, they'd be like, "Oh, Todd and Mel have this guy, projected as the second or third best quarterback." And I'm like, "How? I don't see that." It was like one of those. They're just taking him based off of his skill set, kind of, and not really what he did at Liberty. And I know Liberty, was probably outmatched in some of the games, but I don't forget when they played Syracuse and I picked Liberty and I was like, okay, Malik Willis just star power. He should be better. And a trashy Syracuse team won and covered. And I was just mad because I was like, what the heck? I thought I wanted better. So I'm a lover, scorned a little bit by Malik Willis, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I mean, I think Malik Willis owes a little bit of credit to Lamar Jackson. I don't think if Lamar Jackson were as good as he were in the NFL that we'd see Willis. I don't know why I keep saying Lewis. Kind of climb up draft boards. Obviously, he has those Zach Wilson type practice day or pro day throws that are making him zoom up draft boards. And I think it would be an interesting pick for the Panthers. I'd be excited for it. I'd be excited for him to kind of be thrust right into the spotlight and have to start. But also wouldn't be surprised if, we see him land on a team like, I don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers. That would also be, picking for a QB in the 20th range. I feel like these QBs, You might see him go early. You might see him go all the way, 15 to 20. I don't think there's a star QB in this league or in this draft, warrant the first or second overall pick. Although we could see the Lions do something dumb. That's what the Lions do. But I don't. I mean, I see that obviously Pickett, Willis, and Corral as kind of those top three guys. But it's like I don't really, honestly. I don't know where any of the three are going to end up. I think the Steelers end up with one of them at the end of the day, just because they don't. But you never know. They could maybe have really seen Mitch Trubisky and said, "That's our guy."
It easily could. The whole thing about what I hate in the NFL draft is like, these quarterback needy teams might feel the need to, go reach for a quarterback because talent wise, I mean, I don't think it's really, what you just said was a good take. And I don't think a lot of people would disagree with you. This is definitely not the most talented class of quarterbacks by any stretch. Like, in years past, we knew instant, first rounders like Trevor Lawrence. We knew we were waiting for these players to enter the draft. But this year it's one of those like, well, I guess by default I'll take Malik Willis. Kind of like things like, oh, well, he's fast, like kind of things. That's why I'm saying if I'm a team, I'm addressing other needs that are more like surefire picks that are like not miss. Because how many teams take a first round quarterback, swing and miss? Like it happens just all too frequently.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to who I want for my Jets at the number 4 pick. And then we have the number 10. I'll talk about that one second. And number 4, I'm really rooting for Sauce Gardner. And there's a couple different reasons why. One, his name. How do I not like a guy named Sauce? So that's at least his nickname. Obviously, the cornerback out of Cincinnati, for those people not sure who he is. Now, Gardner, obviously, you see the stats. He didn't allow a touchdown in college, blah, blah, blah. In my head, I see Sauce Gardner, and I see the Jets as a perfect kind of fit. Now, I've seen the Jets in the past, I don't know, decade plus, take a lot of projects, take a lot of Quentin Coples. Remember that name? Yeah, exactly. They've taken a lot of projects, and they haven't gotten a lot out of them. And you see a lot of their first-round picks. Oh, well, they aren't on the roster anymore. What a surprise. And so this is a draft that I think they need to go, not only for a defensive back, because their secondary is terrible and very young. They need a guy that's, I think, a very, you might not necessarily, he might not be the best player in the draft, but you can guarantee you're going to get, when you load up onto Madden every year, you're going to see a guy that's at least an 80 overall, maybe a 90 overall every single year. This is a guy that I think has a very high floor, maybe, and he has a pretty high ceiling, but the floor is what the Jets need at this position. And Sauce Gardner's most complete prospect, in my opinion, in this draft. He's a guy that you don't really have to say, you know what, we got to teach this guy a ton. No, I don't think you do. I think this guy has all the talent, all the intangibles. And so that's why I really like Sauce Gardner at the 4. If I really want to look at a 10 pick, I would absolutely go streaking around the room if we get Jameson Williams at 10 and Sauce Gardner at the 4. You best believe I'll have a Jets jersey on next day.
Okay.
Well, it won't happen. It will not happen. We'll do something
else.
We'll add. Well, a D lineman, ever heard of them? Yeah, bet. Give us 2 of them.
They're gonna get some like low grade D lineman with the 4th pick that like the next day everyone's like, why would Jets being Jets? But I mean, I really every point you made about Sauce Gardner is very valid, because I mean, this is a passing league. There's no doubt about it. If you don't have, good solid defensive backs, you're just going to absolutely be, left behind. And I think that's what's pretty much happened with the New York Jets the past several years. Like when the New York Jets were a competitive football team, what did they hang their hat on? Their defense. It wasn't Mark Sanchez, I promise. It was their defense. It was Revis Island, and they need to get back to the days of having, lockdown corners, because all the teams in the league that compete, the Rams just won a Super Bowl, Jalen Ramsey, lockdown corner. Like they have these blueprints for how to be good. And yeah, Gardner definitely fits the bill. And I mean, as far as the 2nd pick, I mean, they just have a lot of needs, right? Good. So just pick one, right? Just pick best player available. And there's a chance the Jets probably need him. Just not quarterback, right? Right?
Yeah,
do we get a quarterback?
Zach's got at least a couple more years. Zach's got at least a couple more years before we throw in the towel on him. At least I hope so. And I think Zach has promise. It's very similar to the Panthers. Didn't have the best offensive line in front of him. But, if we can address either an offensive lineman there, I would like Jameson Williams. I'll probably take a guy I've never really heard of. I've heard of Drake London, but honestly never watched him in college. So no idea. He's out of USC. So no idea if he's good or not. I know the Jets, and we need to pick as sure of thing as possible, because if it's a 50-50, it ain't a 50-50. It's a 90-10 that it's going to be bad. That's just the Jets' luck. He ain't being good if it's a kind of flip of the coin. It's always going to be whatever the Jets are picking the opposite of.
Well, boo-hoo. I'll pull out a violin for you sad Jets fans. No one made you be them a
One day,
fan. You
one
can
day
hop
we'll be
off
good.
anytime now. But
Never.
no, they should go offensive line though. Like that makes a lot of sense. You got to show it up. Both of our teams have glaring weaknesses, offensive line. So we'll see what happens. Draft still a little bit of ways.
Yeah, we got about 2.5 weeks before the draft, and
Yep.
and unrelated, I think next week we want to try to bring on maybe a podcast guest, maybe have someone guest star on here. So if you are listening to the podcast, let us know who you guys want us to talk to next week. We'll obviously reach out to them and see if they want to join our 30, 45-minute podcast. We can talk about whatever topics you guys always want us to. So if you ever have any topics for us to talk about on these weekly podcasts, definitely let us know down below, because we kind of just want to talk about random things, kind of have you guys learn more about us. But I'm going to kind of end out this podcast. I want to talk about a random question that I thought of. And it is, we obviously talk about sports. We talk about betting every single day. And, who doesn't love to go to the games and actually bet on them? But I was curious if you had like a stadium bucket list. It can be any sport, but what stadiums do you think would be, are at the top of, if I can get to that stadium within the next year or 2 years or whatever it may be? I'm curious what your list is. We can kind of go off and just rattle off some, but I'm curious if there's our stadium that comes to mind, number one, and maybe we talk about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 stadiums that we both like, or arenas, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So I love the talking point, because a friend at work, she's trying to complete the all 30 challenge in the MLB. She loves going to baseball games, and she's checked off, I think, about 10 on her list. And I said, oh, that would be really cool. Now, I don't know that I need to go to all 30 stadiums, because do I want to go to a Diamondbacks Chase Stadium? Do I want to go to the Marlins? Not really. But like the historic baseball stadiums, Wrigley Field, Yankee Stadium, well, kind of Yankee Stadium-ish, Fenway, definitely, Dodger Stadium. Like these are definitely those like marquee places, in baseball, iconic places. So those, I think, are definitely make my list, because I mean, like baseball or not, a lot of people are going to claim it's boring, slow pace, whatever. Go to a baseball game. You're going to enjoy it if you have decent seats, because it's just super nice to be out in the fresh air, eating a hot dog, just chilling, just enjoying the game. So baseball games to me are so fun to watch. They're not as rowdy. I love football, but football games are a little rowdy and chaotic. Baseball games, everyone's just chill. Everyone's just sitting there enjoying it. So that, I would say, the historic stadiums in the MLB are at the top of my list.
Yeah, I would agree with you in terms of MLB. I think Wrigley Field will be fun. Fenway Park. Also want to go to Camden Yards. Maybe we make our way out there this season.
Woo!
I also think a cool one would be out west. I think San Francisco Stadium would be fun. Just kind of being right on the water, maybe in the outfield, the right field. That would be pretty dope. Those are the main things that come to mind. I've been to Yankee Stadium before, so don't necessarily need to go to that one. But that would be fun. If I switch over to NBA, maybe we just go sport by sport. NBA, surprisingly, as a Knicks fan, never been to Madison Square Garden, so that would be an absolute must. I got to go there soon. Had some plans to go, didn't end up pulling through. Maybe once the Knicks are good, maybe I'll go. Never. I ain't getting there ever. But thinking of other stadiums, I haven't obviously been to a ton. I've been to the Orlando Magic, been to the Atlanta Hawks arenas. Obviously, I wanted to go to Oracle Arena. Now, obviously, different. It's now the Chase Center. I don't remember exactly what it's called. But obviously they have their new stadium out there. What other one? Obviously Staples Center. You can't really, well, now it's the crypto.com
Not
arena.
Staples.
Yeah, whatever the heck that is. So maybe that. I'm trying to think if there's any others. I'm like, obviously the Rose Garden where the Bulls play, but I think that's what it's called. That'd be pretty cool. Is there any that I'm missing in the NBA that you think would be fun kind of watch? Barclays would be cool just because it's in Brooklyn, but
I think the Celtics, the Garden, like I think that would be fun.
TD Garden, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like kind of like thinking off the top of my head. The cool thing about NBA though is like a lot of those stadiums are in like really cool cities or like I don't even know, like the Portland Trailblazers. Like Portland's never a really city that like you're willing to go to, but if you do visit Portland, you're like, why don't I catch a Trailblazers game? Like, so sports definitely can draw you. If you're taking a West Coast road trip, you want to go see Dame play at home. Sure, you head out there. So sports are one of those cool things where you can just say, hey, I'm in town, catch a game.
Yeah, that's very true. I off the top of my head, what you were thinking, I thought about Chesapeake Arena, which I think where the OKC Thunder play. Now, granted, they're not good right now. remember our childhood watching Durant and Westbrook and all those guys, and just
Yeah.
how crazy that arena got. That was those would be cool days to go back to. But you're right. They're all in big cities. I want to watch John Morant play in person. That would be fun. But thinking about NFL stadiums, there really aren't a ton. I do want to go to the Raiders kind of toilet bowl, whatever that is. I don't know
They
what the heck.
do. They have stadium tours that you can take, like in Vegas. I saw
Yeah, when I
that.
was in
So
Vegas back about a year ago, April 2021, it wasn't open at the moment. They're still closed, but I did want to go to it. But just I saw it. And they got all these billboards that are playing a bunch of different videos and stuff, like really trying to cause car accidents on the highway. It's very it's very suspect what they're doing out there, but I guess they do whatever you want, Raiders. But that'd be a fun one, I think. Um, Obviously, Jerry World can't beat that.
yeah, the Cowboys Stadium would be interesting just because you see it on TV all that time.
Feels like, but NFL is always rapidly changing stadiums, so they don't have that historic feel, kind of like those MLB stadiums you're talking about, where they've been
Exactly.
around for 100+ years. Like NFL stadiums, if you're doing your road to 30 and NFL will be 32, you got to go back every decade. You're missing a stadium, so you always got. And the MLB, you're normally pretty consistent. Really aren't a ton of new stadiums. The Braves are the newest one, but they had their stadium for I don't know, since the Hank Aaron days, I believe, at Turner Field before it changed.
Well, technically, the Rangers are the newest one. They just opened
yes.
theirs last year.
Speaking of Rangers, I want to get a Rangers hat. I really like their colors, although they did sell us on Monday.
They don't even speak Rangers in your mouth, man. I'm still in pain. That wound hasn't healed. Look, I've got a lot of fresh baseball wounds. Please don't bring them up. It's tough, but yeah, the kind of last point on spectating, like going to a baseball game. I feel like it's my experience is so much better than watching it on TV. When I go to an NFL game, I'm like, no, I should be on my couch right now. Because like we went to the Panthers Jets game and we had fun because those are our teams against each other last year. But we didn't have the best seats. And the coolest thing about that game to me was pregame, just watching them warm up and seeing all the players down on the field level like that. But then it's like, I'm like, yeah, but see, sometimes I want to flip between games because the NFL games have a ton of commercials, and in a football game, the way the field is structured and everything, like you're usually missing half the field depending on where you're sitting. So I'm just saying, like, there's some sports that are just better on TV.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and that's when you were saying that, I kind of wanted to talk about college football because obviously there's some iconic college football stadiums like the Rose Bowl. What is the Sooners? I would love to go to a Sooner game. Like that one always is and obviously, the big house where my sister went to Michigan. I'll be in the big house in about 3 weeks because she graduates there. So maybe I'll take a picture for the fans. And obviously, what is the Horseshoe? That would be sweet. Any college stadiums you're itching to get to?
Well, see, I went to college in one of the best college football stadiums. The Swamp is an amazing stadium. So I don't know what more this Gator needs than his Swamp. So I think I knew you'd love that. That's for all you Gator haters out there. You're always mentioning me when I'm always wearing some Gator stuff. Always come from my head. Get out of here.
Fine. I like the Swamp. I went to one game and they lost. It was the best experience I've had.
Hey, they faced Drew Lock in that game. They didn't face a slouch.
Future
I'm
NFL pro.
Future NFL starter. There you go.
Nah, well, we'll see with the Seahawks this year. But any other things you want to talk about for this podcast before we wrap it up?
No, let's wrap it up. And if you miss our faces, tune in every morning. You'll see our faces on baseball videos. It's baseball season, boys. I'm not getting a lot of sleep. Truth be told.
This is true. Not a lot of sleep these days, but we have the All-Star break in July, around 3 months from now. So you can wait until then. But we appreciate you guys for tuning into the weekly podcast. Let us know who you want to see on next week's podcast. We're going to start doing a guest every week, and I think that would be a lot of fun. Bring a little bit of spice to these episodes, hear their takes, and hear how they're feeling about the NFL draft, about the NBA playoffs as it's mid-swing, all of that nature. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll see you guys again next week, and we'll obviously see you in our daily video. So catch you guys later. Peace.